Everyone, welcome back to Film Ranks. Today, I want to talk about the alleged end of console wars that I've seen on social media. It could be fake news. And to be honest, I don't think there truly is going to be an end to the console wars. That's just my opinion. That is speculation. That can be subject to change. But I think having different consoles with exclusive titles is what made gaming a very fun experience, in my opinion. There's always gonna be somebody who's gonna hate on another console, and I always think of this the same way I think about cars. There's gonna be a different um, person who likes something else, and I think it's best to just allow people to enjoy what they like, you know? I know that we live in a society that judges everything, but I just feel the same way about consoles, the same way I do about cars. It's like you're going to afford what you can afford. You're going to enjoy what you enjoy, and everyone is going to have their own thing, and they should be allowed to enjoy what they have or what they can afford, you know? It's really not something that should affect us to the point that we need to be superior about what's the best and why other people shouldn't be allowed to have fun. I think that's a very bitter way of looking at, consoles or cars or anything, just anything you could buy. Because at the end of the day, businesses make money out of what we purchase, and I think competition is what makes better products, and it's what allows for some companies to survive and others become obsolete. So honestly, that's gonna be something that's gonna continue to happen. And if you're playing a system and all the games that you want are accessible on it, whether it's Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox, even PC games that are on Steam, what's going to be so special about it then? You know what I mean? It's like if you have something like a multi-tool, for example, and it can do all the sort of things you want with it because of versatility, what's going to be special about owning a specific set of tools if you have one that can do everything? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like there is a certain reason why it feels nice to own something that feels unique. When you grow up playing GameCube, DS, a Game Boy, like real throwback consoles, even Super Nintendo, if we want to go that far, or even further, you know that unique feeling of playing something like that. You just did. And if you're able to have a console that can play any game you want or cross-play any game you want, where is the competition? What's going to happen to all of these gaming companies if there's a console that can do everything? That's going to be an issue, and that's going to be a huge loss in profits for a lot of gaming companies. So I'm a bit skeptical on how far cross-playing is going to go. If I'm just skeptical of how far cross-playing is going to go. And like I said, this video is just mostly about speculation. I haven't heard any official news on how many games are going to be accessible between every console. And obviously there's going to be a storage problem anyways. Just like if you own a PS5 now, you're going to have to delete some games if you have a lot already just to play other games. And honestly, there's just something that I really don't like about being able to play Xbox games on PlayStation and vice versa, or if that happens with Nintendo with other consoles. It just really feels like the games that you own, the consoles that you own, are gonna lose that feeling of being special, of it meaning something to you because it had something else that the other consoles didn't. And yeah, it's still gonna cost a lot of money anyways. You know, maybe it's not gonna be a lot of money for people who have that spending power anyways, but most people are gonna have to pretty much work hard to own whatever console they end up owning. So honestly, I don't think it's gonna make anything cheaper if that's what people are speculating. You know, consoles are always gonna be pricey. So consoles are always gonna be pricey. So I'm not sure how that would help the future of gaming and having titles like Halo or even God of War feel like anything special. If doesn't matter what system you have to play it on. It might end up being a good thing, it might not be, but in my opinion, I prefer consoles to have their own exclusive titles, and we just don't know what's gonna happen. You know, the future will tell how things end up happening anyways. But I thought this would be a sort of fun video to think about how gaming should look like in the future, especially for those of us who really enjoy it and have any of the consoles that I mentioned, or even PC. And I don't know, I mean, my take stands as it is. I think there's something great about having a console with different games, and that to me just speaks, I don't know, it just feels good, you know. I think it just feels nice. And it's kind of, I think something about that feels nice, and it kind of goes back to that multi-tool example, especially if you're someone in trades. Like, what if you have a tool that can do any job that you need it to do? It might feel great, but after a while you might decide, you know what, I like having different tools for different jobs, and I don't think you're wrong for wanting that. So I just see it the same way with consoles. I think it's nice to have something that feels different instead of having one thing that can do everything. That is my opinion, and that's all I have for today's video. And if you like this video and want to see more content, please leave a like, subscribe, and there will be more videos to be made. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.